I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.
Hey, welcome back, and what a delight for us to have with us today Christopher Harris. He is the Executive Director of Unhyphenated America, which is unhyphenatedamerica.org if you want to go to their website and check it out. And we want to talk to him about an interesting thing that you probably never really know what was going on with some of the athletes for the Olympics. Christopher, good to see you, but before we get into that, tell us about Unhyphenated America. What is it?
Well, Perry, Unhyphenated America is an organization that we just believe that if you can and believe and embrace the principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then you're just an American, and there's no need for any other prefix or suffix. You're just an American.
Good for you. Thank you. Thank you for your work. All right. I don't think many of us realize that when our athletes go out and win a medal, they have to pay taxes on it. Tell us about that.
I was actually surprised to hear that myself. You sat there and think, okay, they won a medal. But as I did a little bit more research, you realize that, of course, they are also compensated for winning by the U.S. Olympic Committee. And I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like $50,000 or something like that if you win a gold medal, and it's like 25 for silver and on down. I can't remember the exact numbers, but you are compensated for winning a medal. And then, of course, the medal itself does have a certain amount of value to it. It's only about $500 worth of gold in the gold medal, but those are all still counted as bonus or prize money, and so they're taxed. And it's because the government feels like you didn't build that, and that they owe that you owe some of your work to them. So the thing is that Simone Biles, for example, I believe she's going to owe somewhere in the neighborhood of $16,000 in taxes for her Olympic medals, between her gold and I believe it was the bronze that she won. But then you have Michael Phelps, who's going to have a tax bill to Uncle Sam for about $55,000 for all of his medals.
Boy, you talk about something that conflate the incentive to go out and represent your country. That would be it, wouldn't it?
Well, absolutely. And the interesting thing is, we go back to the president making a statement before to small business owners that you didn't build that. And what I find most interesting is the idea that if you go to the Olympics, and let's see, the majority of people who go to the Olympics, even especially among American athletes, they don't win a medal. But they've worked just as hard. They've had to, maybe not necessarily just as hard, but they've had to put countless hours into their craft in order to even qualify to be at the Olympics. And it's just interesting that if you do make it to that pinnacle, when you're up there on the stand where you're getting, a gold or silver or bronze medal, now all of a sudden Uncle Sam said, we deserve some of that for your hard work, and it's just interesting because in many of these events, you're talking about winning by a thousandth of a second, or winning by a millimeter is the margin of victory in many cases. But I kind of think is interesting is that if you win by a thousandth of a second, like if you might be the person in fourth place, you're not going to get a bill from the IRS. But if you happen to be a thousandth of a second faster, you're getting a bill from the IRS. It's kind of, it's kind of interesting.
Well, it's interesting. You would think, given that they are representing the United States in such a unique standing, and as you mentioned earlier, Christopher, the preparation and the hard work and their own personal financial investment to get them to where they are, that if they are a top 3 medal winner at the Olympics, that it would be exempted. Is that the goal here?
Well, I know that Senator Marco Rubio had put forth a bill through the Senate, of course, and I believe it made it through the Senate, but didn't make it through the House or vice versa. But he put forth a bill to exempt our Olympic athletes from, having to pay taxes on those things. Maybe people might not feel sorry for someone like Michael Phelps, because Michael Phelps has a net worth of somewhere between $50 and $55 million. And it would probably be more than that if he didn't have a little issue a little while back with some drugs and marijuana, but he still has a pretty significant net worth. So it's not a huge deal for someone like him to have to pay $55,000. But when you look at the overwhelming majority of Olympic athletes, these are amateur athletes. You know, we're not talking about the NBA guys who are playing on the Olympic basketball team who make, you know, tens of millions of dollars a year. You know, the person who's on the table tennis team, right? Or even the diving team. There's no real money. It's not like there's a lot of money being paid to Olympic divers. Most people can't tell you who the Olympic divers are. There's not a whole lot of sponsorship out there. So these people are out there working day and night. They have day jobs, you know, in order just to be able to, and they get up at the crack of dawn and they're in the pool for hours and, you know, doing, you know, countless hours, mastering their craft. And, you know, the only thing that they might be able to get is a tax break on their training, right? If they're running themselves as a business, and there are tax deductions that they're able to get for, you know, the travel expenses and everything like that. But otherwise, you know, it's just a sacrifice for them, for the possibility to get a medal.
It almost seems to be a punishment for their accomplishments and their hard work. Are we the only country that does this?
You know, I'm not certain. I hadn't had a chance to get any other information about that, but I think many other athletes are more subsidized by the states. I mean, if you think, for example, China, I mean, it's still a master planned economy over in China. So I'm certain that that their athletes are being compensated by the government. Everything is being taken care of by the government. But the U.S. federal government does not take care of the athletes. I mean, you know, I forgot the lady's name, but she's actually now, I guess, the winningest Olympian because she's in skeet shooting. She's won some like 20 plus medals in skeet shooting. And now she has some sponsorship, I believe, from private sponsors, and she's so good at her craft. But once again, if you go back and look at the majority of these athletes that compete in the Olympics, they don't have any sort of sponsorship. They pay for it themselves. And then when they win, Uncle Sam says, hey, you didn't do that.
I just think that when Americans hear this story, Christopher, about America taxing the winnings and the value of the medal of the Olympian that's representing our country, it just leaves a sour taste in our mouth. And I don't know where this bill is going, but hopefully this thing would see the light of day and get passed. Do you have any idea what the potential is for it passing?
Well, actually, Marco Rubio put it forth in 2012 and it got shot down. So I'm pretty certain that right about now is a great time to strike while the iron's hot, to go ahead and put forth this bill again. But you know, not just the Olympic athletes. I would love to see a massive reduction in everyone's taxes. One of my favorite presidents, of course, my favorite president is Ronald Reagan. This is the favorite president in my lifetime. But historically, I could go back, and my second favorite is President Calvin Coolidge. A lot of people don't know about what he did to help balance the government and reduce the size and scope of government. But one of the things that he said was that essentially to take in more in taxes than is absolutely necessary is nothing more than legalized robbery. And, you know, that's the kind of image that comes to my mind. It's just like having, you know, you're standing up there on the medal stand, and as soon as you get off the medal stand, there's some IRS agent out there, you know, hey, here's my badge. I need some of that money. You know, it's just kind of, that's the imagery that comes to my mind. And it's no different, Perry, than as a business owner. You have to go out there and put a lot of work in. I mean, you know, as a Christian, we know the reason why Jesus used these agricultural things as he was preaching in his parables, right? Because the majority of people were in agriculture or they were in livestock in some way, shape, or form. So they understood that you have to put a lot of work in before there's ever any harvest. But even then, when the harvest comes, right, as the word tells you, is that the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. But now all of a sudden, when the harvest comes and you have all your silos full of grain, somebody says, hey, you didn't build that. We need somebody to come and redistribute.
You and I could take off on that one all day. Christopher, thank you for your work. Unhyphenatedaamerica.org is Christopher's website, unhyphenatedaamerica.org. Let's stay in touch, because I'd like to pick up on what you just said. In some ways, farmers' water is being taxed before the seed is ever in the ground. It's amazing what's happening on some of those things. Thank you, Christopher. Thanks for your diligence, and let's stay in touch on this, okay?
Definitely, Perry. God bless you. Take care.
All right, God bless you. We'll be right back.